the first thing that I do for my makeup is I put on a shadow shield, and I just place this from my outer corner to the very tip of my eyebrow and put it at an angle that will give me a nice lift when I do my shadow. It looks beautiful. Next, for an eyeshadow primer, I take my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer and I just put a little bit of that on my eyelids and blend, blend, blend. Then I just set that with my Rimmel setting powder and I just go over that with a setting brush. For shadow, I keep it super simple and light. I just use the Hoola Benefit Bronzer on a large fluffy blending brush, and I will just swirl that and start on the outer corner and really just like pat that on the side of the shadow shield so that I can get that nice clean line. And I kind of just go back and forth a little bit and then start taking that into my crease. Just kind of going back and forth with windshield wiper motions and circular motions. If you want to darken up a little bit, you can put a darker brown shadow on the very corner. I'm going to go in with my Modern Renaissance Anastasia palette and a smaller blending brush. And I'm going to go in with Raw Sienna and just very, very lightly on the corner add a little deeper shade, basically just where a wing would go, and then just like bring it into the V a little bit. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and highlight the brow bone with just a matte white shade, and I'm going to take the Urban Decay Naked Basics. It's this color called Pregame, and we're just gonna put that on our brow bone. Next, I'm going to take my Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in the shade Whiskey. This is a really good creamy eye pencil. I really love it. And I basically just do a really thin line on the top part of my lid, and then I'm going to very lightly flick it out to a little wing. You can really use the shadow shield as a guide for your wing. Which is why I absolutely love using these, because wings are super hard on my eye shape. And then I stop the liner about halfway just because I like the eye shape that it's giving me right now, and I feel like if I add liner on the inner corner, it'll just make my eye look smaller. So then after I have the brown liner on, I actually go in with a dark brown shadow to really just blend and diffuse the liner. So I just go in with my Modern Renaissance palette again in Cypress Umber, and I'm just going to go right over that brown liner, really just smoothing it out. Okay, I'm really liking how that looks, and now I'm just gonna take a lighter shadow for the lid. I'm gonna go in with Primavera, again from the Anastasia eyeshadow palette. And I'm gonna do that with my finger. Next, I take a waterproof black liner. This one is from Rimmel London, and I just do the tight line of my eye. This just makes your lashes look fuller whenever you apply your mascara and lashes. Next, we're going to take off the eyeshadow shields because I love how this is looking right now. Okay, so you may notice I have a really small wing started on either side of my eyes, but I want it a little more dramatic, so I'm just going to put these back on, which you can totally do, and I'm just going to make it a little more dramatic. And now you may notice I have a little bit of fallout on the bottom of my eye, so I'm just going to take my Garnier Skin Active Micellar Cleansing Water on a cotton pad and just clean that up underneath my eyeball. Next, we're going to curl our eyelashes and put on some mascara. I'm using the new mascara. It's a lash enhancing mascara, so it actually helps your eyelashes grow while you have mascara on, which I think is super cool. I actually had a modeling job for this mascara, and I really liked it, and they ended up sending me home with a little goodie bag. and I've just been using it ever since because who doesn't want longer eyelashes? And it just looks so good. Next, we're gonna move on to my favorite part, which is skin. So very first, I go in with the Makeup Forever Base Smoothing Primer. I truly feel like the primer is good for me to fill in my pores because I feel like I have large pores. Just like put that into my T-zone mainly. Next, we're going in with foundation, and we're using my all-time favorite. This is like the Krabby Patty secret formula of foundations. It's the Maybelline New York Fit Me Matte and Poreless, and I'm probably gonna be mixing some shades because I do use that lotion tanner from Jergens. I take that on a damp, this is actually Real Techniques, not a beauty blender. I've had both, and I feel like I like this one more, so that's what I use. Make sure you get down the neck. You do not want those weird lines on your neck. I try to keep my foundation as light as possible because you can always go in with concealer to get those stubborn areas. It's like I almost want my natural skin to kind of show through a little. Next, I go in with my Almay concealer and I put that on my under eyes. Make a little triangle type deal. A little on my chin, down the middle of my nose, and a little on my forehead. And then since I'm high maintenance, I put on the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer just in the very inner corner. This one is just a little thicker and just a smidge brighter. Then I take my beauty sponge again and I just start blending that out. Now I'm taking my Coty Airspun Loose Face Powder to set that so that my concealer does not start to crease. And I just take that on my beauty sponge and do the thing. Just putting it right over where I just applied the concealer. And then I just put a little on my chin, down my nose, forehead, oily spots, you know. Next, I take my NYX Wonderstick Cream Contour. This is in the shade Universal, and this is a highly underrated cream contour. I freaking love it. It's so good, and I've been using it for years. I feel like no one talks about it, but it's really good. So I just put that in my contouring spots, which would be just right underneath the cheekbone to give him some definition, underneath the jawline and around my forehead, and just a little bit around my nose, a little bit under your bottom lip. I like to start blending with just my fingertips because I feel like the warmth of my fingers is just gonna make it look a little more natural, and yeah, I think it just helps. And I like to blend this more upwards rather than downwards because you want those high cheekbones. I also love cream contour and cream blush and cream everything in the wintertime because it is dry no matter what you do. Just a little bit dotting on the nose. Okay, once I feel like I got like a decent amount blended, I go in with the Beauty Blender and I just like finish the job. Also, if you guys have any blemishes, I would have used that darker concealer, the Almay one, to cover up the blemishes because there's actually salicylic acid in that concealer. Salicylic acid in a concealer is really great if you're covering up a blemish because you're treating the blemish as well as covering it up. Now I'm going to just like wipe away whatever is left of the baking we were doing, which is really not a lot. I'm just gonna get that out of the way. Now I am taking the Milk Makeup blush, cream blush. It is in the color Work, like W-E-R-K. I love that. And I'm just putting that on my fingertips, and then I rub my fingers together and then just start patting right on my cheeks and then up a little bit, right above your contour. Now I'm gonna go back in with my Rimmel Stay Matte powder. This is just translucent. and I'm gonna go over my whole entire face super lightly, just to like set everything. Now I'm gonna go in with the Benefit Hoola bronzer again, same one we used on our eyes, and I'm going to just kind of run that along our contour that we just did, and I'm going to be using this angled contour brush here. So I'm just going to kind of take that angle and have that start right where I want the contour to start. Make sure that you keep your contour nice and high and you're blending up. And then take that down my jaw. So I have the product down and now I just want to like blend it out more. I'm gonna take this large fluffy brush to do the blending, just more efficient. And that angled one is just pretty dense. This one's a lot more fluffy and like just gonna mix it all together. Now I'm going to take this contour brush and I'm going to dip it into my Shade and Light palette by Kat Von D. This is another one of those palettes where I just feel like you can splurge on because the colors are just so nice. I'm using the lightest contour shade here. I always like kind of mix these two together. I very lightly put this in my contour area here. This is just more of like a gray shadow contour, and before we were putting on more like bronzy shades. So I feel like this is more of like that contoured shadow. And then this is where I really just like lightly take some down the nose. Down the neck, always. I take everything down the neck. Next I'll kind of just take my beauty blender and like pat under the cheekbone to kind of clean it up a little bit. I don't want to like bake necessarily, but just kind of taking remaining foundation and concealer and like cleaning it up. Now I'm gonna go in with a little bit of actual powder blush. I'm going to take this big fluffy brush here, and I just have a Tarte blush. It's a little bit darker shade. Don't know the color because I got it from an Ipsy bag, but I love the Tarte blushes. Really any blush will do, let's be real. Next I'm gonna take a little bit of highlight. I have a little highlighter brush right here, and again I'm using a highlighter from an Ipsy bag, but I will link some highlighters that I like down below, but this is just the one I'm using right now. Put that on my nose, Cupid's bow. I just like run it over my brow bone a little bit. Next I take a very small shadow brush, dip that into the highlighter, and I put that on my inner corner. It just really makes your inner corner pop and like really elongates your eyes. Next I take a really small shadow brush and I put it back into my Hoola bronzer, and I just run that along the lower lash line. And then I also take the same Hoola bronzer and I lightly start going over my brows because personally this color matches my hair and eyebrows like kind of well, and it's just like lightly fills them in before I go in with like a pencil. Then I take my It Cosmetics Brow Power and I just brush out my eyebrows a little bit. And then I define them just a little bit more, just a universal taupe shade. And I really love this brow pencil, it's so nice. I very lightly define my eyebrows. Brushing them out one last time, just blend everything I did all together. Then I take my NYX Tinted Brow Mascara in Blonde, and I basically just set those brows, and it has just a little tint, so it kind of helps fill them in just a little more. Next I take the L'Oreal Paris Voluminous Waterproof Mascara and I do my bottom lash line. Now I'm taking my Rimmel Nude Liner and I'm going to do the inner rim of my bottom lash line because This really opens up your eyes. Next up is optional. You can do false lashes if you want. I really like doing false lashes for my photo shoots because I feel like it just really makes my eyes pop. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop some of those on, and I'll be right back. I was talking for like 10 minutes and I realized I wasn't recording. So basically what I did was I put my false lashes on, and I just put a little bit of mascara on over that to blend the lashes together. And I only put on lashes from like the middle of my eye to the outer corner. I actually cut my lashes just because I've been on shoots in the past and the inner corners have lifted up, and I don't want to be messing with like eye glue and stuff on a shoot, or I just don't even realize it happens until after the shoot. So to avoid all of that, I just do the outer corners, and I think it looks really good and natural. I'm using the Prestige lip liner in 02 Shimmer. It's just a nude, and I very lightly overline my lips. I'm going in with the Prestige matte lip tint now in the color 16 Knockout, and I've been absolutely loving this. So that is what that lip looks like. Optional, but I also like to layer on the Buxom Lip Plumping Gloss. This is the shade Samantha, and it is a lip plumper, so it gives you like a little bit of a tingle in your lips. I always make sure that I take my lip products with me on my shoots, especially. You can obviously bring some setting powder in case you get oily, and definitely your lip products. Those are like my key things I want to bring with me. The last final step is a setting spray, and I like the NYX Matte Finish setting spray. This just helps your makeup stay throughout the day. It melts all of that powder and everything all together. I just feel like it really blends it all and locks it all in. All right, and this is the finished makeup look. I'm gonna go ahead and do my hair so you guys can get the full effect, and I'll be right back. This is the final natural glam photo shoot look. I hope you guys liked it and you enjoyed watching. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.